Hi there, I'm Dr. Grant Miles, and I want to welcome you to the first ever online version of BUA 649 Management Policy. Um, because this is the first time we have ever done this in an online format, I hope you'll bear with me. I've made an effort to get this right the first time, but nothing ever goes right the first time. So hopefully we can work through this together and make it a good experience for everyone. To help in that process, I thought it would be helpful if I kind of did a little introduction here, talking briefly about what I'm thinking in terms of how the course is going to operate, showing you kind of how the Blackboard page is laid out, some of those kind of things. In terms of the basic structure of the course, my intent is to make it primarily asynchronous. That is, you can work on it at your own pace rather than having a time where everyone must be online at the same time. While there is technology that allows that, it doesn't always work quite as well as we'd like it to, and it ties people down to a particular meeting time, and I'd rather not do that. At least most of the time. We may have a few lessons later in the term where we try to get people together and facilitate discussion, but for the most part you can work on it on your own week to week. That said, there is a structure to the class, and that requires you to log in each week and work through the lessons for that week. In that regard, things like quizzes or discussion posts or any other assignments that week must be done in the week that goes with that lesson. So while you get to decide when you want to do it during the week, you must do stuff each week if you want the credit for that week's assignments. The way the lessons will be released, Sunday at midnight or first thing Monday morning, I will release a new lesson each week. You will then have until the following Sunday night to complete that lesson's material. Do note that almost every lesson will ask you to read a chapter from a textbook. It's a good strategy text by Grant. I'll show you in a minute how you can purchase access to it. So you might want to think about reading the chapter for that week before you start the lesson. But in any event, the lesson will walk you through what you need to do. One of the challenges with doing this course online is that the nature of BUA 649 as a capstone class is supposed to be very much hands-on, applied, discussion and case-oriented. That is a little hard to do in an asynchronous online environment. But we're going to give it our best shot. There are going to be a lot of discussion board postings, casework, assignments, various ways for y'all to interact with me and with each other. So I hope we can make this all work out as we go along. I'll stay involved every week, but again, you need to stay involved every week as well. So let's take a look at the Blackboard page. I'm going to shrink me down and show more of the page now and kind of walk you through. The screen you're seeing right now is the screen that you will typically see when you log into Blackboard. The key thing that you're going to want here is the lessons, but before we get into that, let me show you just a couple of other things. As I said, there is a book that is an integral part of the class. There is a link right here where you can purchase either a hard copy of the book or access to an e-edition. Choice is yours. The e-edition is not cheap, but much less expensive than the hard copy. I think it will suffice, but you can make the choice yourself. In addition, there is a link here with contact information, lets you know how to get to me, to other student services, or technical issues, which do sometimes crop up when we're using Blackboard. So, in addition to the regular Blackboard help, that's a link you can get there with. As I said, though, the lessons is the key area that we want to work with here. So let's take a look within that link. When you click on the lessons link, it will pop up and show you whatever lessons have been available. When I add additional lessons, right now there are lessons for the first week, an overview and introduction, and a lesson for the first week. As we get into weeks 2, 3, 4, etc., the previous lessons will be there in terms of the material, but again, particular assignments within them, discussion board links, quizzes, whatever, will have been closed. So the material is available, but the assignments must be done during the week they're assigned. Well, I hope you will start with the overview and introduction. It does have a discussion board posting request where we're going to introduce ourselves. Let's take a look within the lesson 1 just to kind of see what the format is, the typical format is going to be. So if we click on lesson 1, you'll see it comes up with a table of contents here, but I have set it up so that you need to work through the material screen by screen. First, we'll typically give you a little overview of the lesson and the objectives, things we're looking for. As I mentioned, it will then ask you if you have read the chapter yet. So if you have not, pause here and go read the chapter. If you've already read the chapter, been prepared, you can move on to the next screen where there will be a quiz to see whether you have retained the key material out of the chapter. Once you've taken the quiz, there will then be links. In this case, I have written out several slides highlighting what I think are some key concepts. I will typically either do this written or on video or both, where I'm kind of giving my take on what some of the key ideas are, explaining them in my own words to give a contrast to the books, sometimes extending, sometimes adding in some material that I think the book is either omitted or given less time to than I think is important. So you got the book's view on strategy. This will be a way to kind of get at my view. So in this case, there's about 3 slides that take us through that. And then there is an application. This will be a typical format. So in this case, the application is going to take us to a short video. So when we click on this and move to the next slide.
If we're going to have a good strategy, we've got to think clearly about what strategy is.
What we get is a short video from Michael Porter where he is talking about what strategy is. Once you've watched the video, you can come back, click to the last one, which is going to take us to a discussion board assignment. We click to launch, and now you can go in and create your initial post, and then the assignment also asks you to comment on some posts of others. Note though that I'm typically going to ask you to make an initial post first. I want to get your take, then you can reflect on the takes of others. Well, just a few other things before we get started, or you can get started with your regular material here. While the login to Blackboard takes you to this course content, and you can certainly navigate from there. You can also navigate, as you probably know, using the buttons on the left side. The home page button takes you to kind of an overview of this course within Blackboard. The course content is where you enter the course. The discussion button, if you should come back to a lesson, maybe you have made your post, but you want to come back and see what other people have posted and make some comments on those. You don't have to go through the whole lesson to get there. You can click on the discussion button and it will take you right to any discussion boards. So that's a handy one to make use of. In addition, if you want to just get back to lessons without coming through the course content page, you can just click on the lessons button and it will take you right there. So I think that's about it. For finishing though, I do want to point out a couple of things that are highlighted in the overview and introduction lesson. And remember, you do need to work through that in addition to the lesson for the week. The overview and introduction has some material, brief material, and also a link to a discussion forum. But let me point out just a couple of things in it that really matter. First couple of slides just kind of put in words some of what I've been talking about. But if you look here at this third slide, it talks about your contribution. As I've mentioned, the nature of this course is very much an interactive, applied, discussion-oriented course. So you need to plan to be involved regularly in this course. That means logging in not just once a week, but several times a week. First time to work through your own material, but then additional times to look back and see what other people have posted, make comments on them, in order to make this whole process involved and interactive. In addition, I want to ensure that in those discussions and interactions that we are all civil, in the same way that I would require civility in a face-to-face class. I want civility in our postings and interactions in this online world. Positive, helpful, by all means feel free to disagree, but do so in a positive and constructive manner. So keep that in mind as you work through your posts and interactions with others. To help in that process, the final thing within the overview and introduction is a link to a discussion board where it asks you to introduce yourselves. One of the things that research has suggested happens in an online environment too often is people feel like they're kind of anonymous and therefore perhaps not as civil, not as careful in their social interactions. So I want to make sure that we all get to know as best we can who each other are, that we remove the anonymity, if you will. So in the final piece of the overview and introduction lesson, do click the link, go to the discussion board, introduce yourself, and then after you look at the introductions of others, comment on them, same way that you might converse if we were in a face-to-face class. Well, I think that's it. I look forward to seeing everyone. Hope you have found this introductory video helpful. I say I really do look forward to working with everyone this semester on a week-to-week basis and helping make sure that this is both a good experience and a great learning experience for you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please do not hesitate. Shoot me a note and let's figure out how to make this the best we can for everyone.